So the next thing that we want to do is we want to practice what we've been working with. And I thought that it would be more interesting to do something that's a little bit more concrete, something that is a little bit more visible, and obviously something that is in pop culture right now and it is a really big part of the visual effects and 3D industries, and that is movies. So I have the Avengers logo here that we're able to pull from the web. It was an Illustrator file, so I skipped that step because I know, considering the whole distance learning thing going on, um, not everybody has access to computers that can run Adobe and whatnot. So to sort of save you guys that step, I'll write it in the notes so that you know how to do it. But I have the uh, Illustrator paths imported into Cinema 4D already for you. I shared this file on Blackboard so you can pull it down. This is what we're going to practice with to do some title text animation, um, and sort of play around with what we've been um, discussing this week. So you can see here that it's all in a null. If I turn this off, you can see that it's each part here. Now you'll probably want to reorder these so that they're in the right order, but it might not actually have anything to do with what you're doing, so you might not need to. But each letter is in here as a path. Okay, you'll see for the A, because it has the little spiral here and the arrow, that it has individual pieces here that the other ones do not. Okay, but the whole thing's here as a spline. And this is the scenario that I was speaking about just a few minutes ago when we talk about the fracture object, is that this logo was done in Illustrator. Now I need to make it 3D. So I'm bringing it into Cinema 4D, and it's coming in as a series of paths. So I can't use Motex because Motex is going to use a typeface that's installed on my machine, and this has already been created like this. I need to use this exactly the way it is. So I need to find another way to get these splines into MoGraph so that I could use the effectors, and this is where I would use a fracture object. So I'll show you how I would get this set up, and then you guys can sort of play with this. Our goal will be to animate it and to texture it and light it, okay, so that you could have a nice little short text animation for it. And again, it'll allow us to practice with text, allow us to practice with the fracture and the effectors, but something more exciting, hopefully, than just writing text or saying hello or whatever else, putting your name in there. So I share on Blackboard as well a link to the art of the title. They have an article. Now this is the logo from the first Avengers movie. So this is 2012. And they have the complete title sequence up here, and then they have this really insightful art interview here from Steve Viola, who's the creative director who worked on this. Method Design is the agency, so it'll go through and he'll talk about how they planned it, how they conceptualized it. There's some sketches here that you can check out of as the storyboard, and then talking about the typeface that they worked out for the logo. And at the very, very end, there is the title animation itself for the Avengers logo. So I'm going to play it. So you can see there, it has the letters rotating in, okay, as it comes in. Now you can see that the little A here doesn't have the curve that you see, the little semicircle that you see up here. So ours does, so that's something that we could play with. Um, but we're just having a little bit of rotation as it comes frontal, and there's a little light flare that comes up here. So it's not an overly complicated animation, and this is definitely something that we can try and recreate or be inspired by to animate in Cinema 4D. Okay, so I've shared this link with you. You have this file in the Blackboard as well. So I would say pull it down, and then you can start working on it. So I would suggest that a couple of things I would suggest is that you get a camera in there so that you can, if you want to animate the camera moving in and out, you can. Okay, if that's something that you want to be able to do. If you want to be able to switch between views so that you could be looking at this from another angle while you're working on it, and then you can switch back to the camera because that's the one you're going to render. It's handy to have the camera there to sort of remember your composition. So I think you want to get a camera in there. Definitely want to think about lighting, so maybe 3-point lighting. If it's not moving very far or erratically, 3-point lighting can work. You could use a floor or a background. You could use a physical sky. So lots of things that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks that you can try here. So I would definitely encourage you to play with textures. You could try and recreate what you see here texture wise and animation wise, or you could you tweak it a little bit and get a little creative with it. But this is your sort of your benchmark. Okay, so now if I want to animate it, what I would suggest is to use the fracture object. Okay, because the fracture object is gonna let you take all of these individual pieces here, and it's going to allow you to use the effectors on it as we spoke about before. So I'm going to get an extrude, throw my logo into the extrude, okay, and then you'll see sort of the first hiccup here is that it's in the extrude but nothing's happening, and that's because the extrude only wants to see one path or one spline. So if I had just taken the one here and thrown it into the extrude, that would have worked. Okay, but because I'm taking this whole group and sticking it in here, the extrude is ignoring it. So you're going to need to have a little bit of assistance there, and you're going to need to get the connect object. Okay, and the connect object we've mentioned before when we were talking about trying to get a bool to cut multiple holes at the same time, because it only wants to use one object as well. The connect is Cinema 4D's way of having whatever you're working with. It's going to view the multiple pieces that you put inside the connect. It's going to see it as one object, even though obviously it's not. It's going to be able to interpret it as one object. So I need a connect. I need to stick the Avengers logo into the connect, and now I can take the connect and stick it into the extrude. Okay, because as far as the extrude's concerned, it sees the connect object, and all of those individual pieces there are one unit under the connect, and that works for the extrude. So then I can go to the extrude, and I can decide how thick I want it to be. Again, I would definitely recommend that you, because it's text, I would definitely recommend that you go to the cap setting, and you'll probably want to give it some sort of bevel on the edge here so that it's not so flat. But again, this is the kind of thing you can experiment with here and explore this text animation. So I'm going to put like 3, and I'm giving myself a little bit more. Okay, I got a little bit of an edge there now. Okay, and if I'm not sure, I can zoom in, and you can see there. Okay, my little bit of an edge there. And if I don't like it, I could always make it tighter, or I could come in here and say, okay, I want that to be 1. Now I got a really, really fine edge there, or I want it to be very bulbous. You know, I can go in here and make it like 8. And now it's very round. Okay, so I'll put it on 2 in the middle here. So go back to my camera that I'm setting up. Okay, so I can come in here now. I'm going to put this on a background. Okay, and I'm going to put a quick text on it. Text color. Just so there's something to look at. Okay. A little bit easier to see what I'm doing. So now I can go and I could take the fracture object and I can put the extrude in that. Okay, and again it's if I just go and grab the I have the fracture selected and I choose the random selector, a random effector, I'm sorry. You can see it's set in the effectors. The random is set to position right now, so I could turn that off, change it to rotation. Okay, but you can see that it is rotating the whole object no matter which axis I choose, and that's because you have to remember that you got to go to fracture, and if you leave the object properties, the mode is on straight, it will affect the whole word. Okay, if you go to explode segments and connect, then we're going to go letter by letter. So now if I go to the random effector and I go to the rotation here, you can see that I can rotate each of those letters separately. Okay, and like I can add position there. I don't want to do that. Kind of comes towards us. So if I do something like that, see there? Okay, and so I can keyframe that coming together there. Okay, so I don't wanna take too much of your time watching me play around with it. I just wanted to introduce you to the file and show you how you could get it set up, and then you could start animating it. Obviously, you'll need to be keyframing, so you can undo that because it's kind of crazy. So now I can keyframe. Now this is going to be this will probably be pretty short. Um, I have 3 seconds here right now, so you can sort of see what you want to do with it. Feel free to introduce a camera move. Feel free to experiment with the random. You could try the plane effector or the delay, but if you want to animate this, you're going to need to use the fracture. Okay, so I've given you the splines. You'll have to put them in a connect so that you can put them in an extrude, style the extrude the way you want the text to look, and then you put in a fracture object, and you need to make sure that that's set to explode segments and connect if you want to animate the letters individually. Okay, so your goal here is to animate the Avengers logo. Again, you probably want to keep it in the same vein here, but you can definitely explore. So you want to animate the Avengers logo, you want to texture it, and you want to light it, and then you'll submit to me your Cinema 4D file and your rendered video. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know, but hopefully you have a lot of fun animating the Avengers logo. Okay, but if you have any trouble, let me know, and we can work on whatever problems you have. But hopefully this little demo helps you get started.